There's really only a couple of ways you can actually purchase the 2024 Toyota Tacoma and kind of get what you want. First off, what is with this lighting? Looks like I'm bronze or something. Really weird. And something else happened to me. You know how when you're in your vehicle and you kind of think that you're all alone, right? There's nobody else around. It's just you and your space. So I'm sitting in my, in this case, I'm in the Jeep. I'm sitting at the gas station, and there's a woman beside me I'd noticed coming out to get in her vehicle. And I had to burp. So I let off this big guttural bleh, you know, and then, of course, I'm just sitting in my vehicle. She's right beside me, and I see her look over, and I'm like, oh my God, I did the same thing that I've talked before on the channel about people doing, you know, kind of like they think they're all by themselves. I guess I thought I was all by myself. That's all right, no big deal. We all do it, right? So anyway, there's really only a couple of ways you can actually buy the new Toyota Tacoma. Number one, just go to the lot. You might get lucky. There might actually be one sitting there. You know, I've been nosing around in my area, just checking stock levels and stuff, because, you know, that's what I do. And I did notice there are two actually sitting on a lot, at least it says so on the web, available. Now, both of these are SR5s. They are the short bed, double cab, of course, 4x4s. So they're not even two-wheel drives. They haven't been around long, but they're there. And of course, pricing is over $40,000 for an SR5 with a dealer markup on them. Again, not gonna pay a dealer markup myself, but I've mentioned in other videos, that's a negotiating point. I mean, you don't think that you have to pay that extra money. You don't. The dealer, of course, wants to sell vehicles, right? I mean, they're not in it for the joy of it. They're in it to make money. They're a business. So they're not going to let you walk. So you can at least get that number reduced, if not completely removed altogether, right? So that's the first way. You get lucky. There happens to be something on the lot. Of course, you're not going to necessarily get what you want because supply is limited, right? The second way, and this actually is a way to buy one right now, is to buy a used 2024 Tacoma. They are actually out there in the market already. Although it makes me wonder why. Did people buy them and just hate them? Did they not ever drive one? Maybe. You know, a lot of people ponied up the money for a deposit down on whatever happens to come in, probably went ahead and purchased it, and then didn't like the truck for whatever reason, or maybe even got scared when they started to hear about things that are going wrong. You know, there have been a few, I'll call them hiccups. The driveline failure might be a little more than a hiccup, but otherwise, you know, some shutters that won't close in the grille, stuff like that, which I think is probably easily fixed by Toyota. But I know how folks are. People get scared. They're not going to be reliable. There's a lot of chatter on the web about it. So maybe that's why you're seeing them used. Now, you're not going to get a great deal, but of course you're not going to pay a markup, or at least you shouldn't, on a used vehicle of any kind. And you're going to get below MSRP. So that's one way to get below MSRP, right? Pick up a used one. Again, the supply is going to be very limited because there aren't a ton of them out there. You're probably going to have to settle for whatever is on the lot. The other way, and this is the best way to do it, and that is, well, as best as you can get, and that is to take one out of allocation. Go to your dealership and find out what is coming. And I'm seeing a lot of people doing this already, and you can tell on the dealer sites rather, that actually list a sale pending. In other words, you get on, you see what trucks they have coming, and then you'll see a sale pending on there. Those are folks that have probably put down money, I'm sure they have, in the form of a deposit on one of the trucks that are actually coming in. Now, your selection of course is going to be limited, but not so much as it is if you just wait until something shows up at the dealership, or if you maybe find a gem in the used market. Now, I say your choices are going to be limited. it's a little bit better than the first two options. I mean, you are going to have a list of trucks, which is constantly changing, by the way. As Toyota ramps up production and supply starts to ramp up, once the folks that were the early buyers got their trucks, you're going to see supply start to grow in the form of allocations and maybe even more starting to show up on the lots. Frankly, I was surprised at the two that I mentioned earlier that are actually on the lots. But you're going to see that number increase where you are going to have a bit more selection. Now, are you going to get what you want, your ideal truck with only what you want on it? Well, of course not. But you can't do that now. You know, even if you try to build a Tacoma, which I don't believe they're taking orders right now because they can't even supply what they want to build. But if you could build one, you still have to buy packages to get things that you want. For instance, let's say you want push button start. Well, you're going to get a list of other things that are in that package that enable you to get push button start. So your choices are still going to be limited, but by far better than if you just take something that's already built that's coming out of either allocation or inventory sitting on the lot. Now, speaking of inventory, how long are these trucks lasting? Well, it kind of depends, I have found, on the trim level. I've been following one at a dealership. It's an SR, and it's very, very basic. Still a heck of a lot of money, but there's not a lot on it. That truck has been sitting at the dealership for probably about 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. But generally, excluding that one, what I'm seeing is 3 to 5 days. In other words, when a TRD off-road or a TRD Sport, maybe a Limited, something like that comes in, it'll be on the lot for about 3 to 5 days, and then it will be out of here. It will be gone. So you kind of have to act fast if you do find something that at least comes close to satisfying what it is that you're looking for. Why is that? Well, obviously, it's because there's still a huge demand or a rush for the Toyota faithful, I guess, that want to buy them. And speaking of that, you know, I keep seeing comments on the channel, people talking about you should, in essence, boycott Toyota or don't buy them because the price is so high, and that's the only way that you're going to force Toyota to lower the prices. First of all, Toyota's not going to lower the price. I mean, the sticker is the sticker. It's going to remain that way. Doesn't mean that they won't offer incentives if the trucks start to not move, but you're never going to see the price go backwards. I don't know if I've ever seen that, a reduction in MSRP, even though technically that's what incentives do. But I've never really seen a dealer do that. Now, will that happen? Could it happen? Well, sure. I mean, if the lots start to back up with Tacomas, you're going to see incentives on them, just like the Tundra right now. The Tundras are not selling well. There are tons of them on the lots, and Toyota is offering incentives in the form of lower interest rates as well as cash back or money back to the buyer, in essence reducing the MSRP. So anyway, the best way to buy kind of the Toyota Tacoma 2024 that you want right now is to go ahead, find one that's in allocation, one that's coming in from a dealership, as closest to what you want, put some money down on it, get your name on it, and that's how you can pick one up. Leave a comment. Let me know if you've done this and if you actually have your truck yet, or what kind of lead time you're looking at. When are you supposed to have it? I'd just be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.